Welcome to Custom Home Builder Solutions, also known as CHS, a job costing, full accounting, and profit management software designed specifically for the professional home builder. Hello again from Carol King, the developer of CHS. This is the second of two videos to introduce you, the professional home builder, to Custom Home Builder Solutions software. In this video, I will introduce you to the full accounting features that are included in CHS. My degree is in accounting, and I have many years of accounting experience in the home building industry. And because of that experience, I have built in everything I always wished I had in accounting software, especially the search tools and reports for job costing in order to quit creating all of those Excel spreadsheets for the builder. In the first video, I showed how a home builder owner needs so much more from accounting data than just a place to post deposits and checks to come up with financial statements. In this video, I will discuss the importance of accounting as it relates to providing the home builder, the CPA, and outside parties like lenders, home buyers, auditors, and even possible litigators with quick and valuable data. Information that leaves no question in your mind or in others that you are an accountable and professional home builder. Effective systems provide the best route for reducing stress and for balancing your life. CHS is a powerful software that will play the important role of integrating your information into a smooth, understandable, and effective system. Building custom homes is a complicated record-keeping business, and CHS is designed specifically for your industry. You will be required to satisfy those home buyers, lenders, accountants, insurance auditors, trades, suppliers, and your staff with useful information. Let us simplify all of it for you by providing you the tools you will need to manage your business, satisfy outsiders, and increase profits. It turns out that the accuracy of your accounting and the efficiency of your back office operations can make or break your business, no matter how well you build homes. Back in the 90s, I was hired by a new custom home builder because his investor would not invest unless the first person hired was a qualified accountant. The investor told him that the person overseeing or managing the books needed to be the smartest person in his business. Over my years of working with several hundred builders and watching which ones succeed and which ones do not, I have learned that what that investor said could be very true. While CHS provides the tools to help the bookkeeper become a hero to the builder owner with many help tutorials about accounting in the complex home building industry, no software program can make all of the accounting decisions for you. CHS is very flexible in order to accommodate various types of accounting methods used by different types of home builders. This means that you will need an accountant that understands construction accounting either on staff or to advise your staff with setting up CHS for the accounting method your business will be using. We do provide several tools for the accountant to help set up defaults in CHS so that someone entering bills or deposits will be posting them correctly based on your accounting method. So let's take a look at why builders that use CHS say they don't want their competitors to know about it, and why they say CHS is the best kept secret for their success. So now that I've made you all nervous about how complex CHS might be, that you need to get some outside advice, or a little bit of overview advice for setting up your accounting for CHS, I'd also like to reassure you how much help and how much assistance and how much I have built in and used my knowledge in CHS to help the bookkeeper get advice and be able to not have to think about some of the accounting things so much, and the tools for setting that up. And I'd like to go over that. As I said again, I will emphasize that construction accounting, especially in the custom home building industry, is quite complex actually, and what my goal was to think about how to handle that and how to eliminate all of the Excel spreadsheets that I see all over the place in builders' offices where they're trying to extract information from their accounting data in order to do things like insurance liability audit reports, builder's risk reports for hard costs, or waivers of lien, or draw requests for the bank and lender, etc. All kinds of things that I will see people using Excel worksheets for. And that was one of my biggest goals in designing the accounting part and combining it with job costing in CHS. But I did learn over the 16 years that there are many, many complex or different ways, not complex as much as just different ways, that custom home builders might be handling their accounting. So the first thing I'd like to assure you of, and then go over some of the accounting features and show you what a full accounting program this is, I would like to assure you of the help that I have to help both your bookkeeper and perhaps some outside consultant accountant that is just advising you and helping you get set up to use CHS so that the bookkeeper can handle things real smoothly for you. So I've clicked the button for accounting financials, and the first thing I want to talk about, I clicked this button and I've opened the chart of accounts for accounting in this particular set of demo books that we have. And a chart of accounts is a list of all the accounts for accounting that you will be using to produce financial statements like balance sheets, trial balances, income statements or profit and loss statements, etc. And when you're posting things like bills to be paid or deposits you received, etc., you will need to choose an account from your chart of accounts to post that particular item to, so that that actual transaction will end up on your financials as they should. You can load, the National Association of Home Builders has come up with the recommended chart of accounts that they have, and I've come up with a simpler one. You can print these out and study them before you load them and talk to your accountant about it, and load those and then edit or tweak your chart of accounts as you need based on your accountant's advice. But one thing I wanted to point out to you is if you click help up here, you'll start seeing that we have all sorts of tools to help guide you as best as we can, although we cannot actually make your accounting decisions for you for how you'll be recognizing your income for taxes. And let me talk about that for just a second. I'd like to open this help document that's about methods of accounting, different methods of accounting that various builders use. And I'm not going to go over it into great detail, but if you want to pause the video, first of all, it talks about the cash method, which is the least recommended actually for home builders to use, but I explain what it is and how it's used. The method that is used most often by builders is something called completed contract method, and that means that all of your costs, job costs that you're posting, are usually put into some work in progress account that actually shows up on your balance sheet, and your monies received are being posted actually into some liability accounts, because if the job fails you might owe the money back. That's sort of the thinking behind that. So it's, like construction loans payable or contract deposits are under some contract construction liability. And then when the job closes, some journal entries basically are made to close those accounts out to sales and cost of sales, and then boom, in 1 month they show up as the total income for that. And that's really the method I see used most often when builders recognize things for taxes when the job closes. However, a lot of consultants in the home building industry, especially the consultants to the Builder 20 clubs, they believe that the method called percentage of completion is the tool that is most useful to a home builder, a professional home builder, who is wanting to watch where they're really at every month. And that has to do with figuring out each month what you've earned on each job, what you've spent on each job, and then calculating that and then taking that over to your income statement every single month, the amount you've earned less the cost that you've spent, so you can just sort of really see where you're at each month. And CHS totally accommodates this method and gathers those numbers for you. This is one of the areas that I used to spend a lot of time as controller for a builder that used percentage of completion. I needed to pull the costs and the monies earned for each job, but the accounting software I had at that time couldn't do that for me, so I was out there in Excel spreadsheets doing it. CHS will calculate and gather those numbers for you and give you a button to quickly create what is called the journal entry in your accounting for that. And we have complete videos about doing that, what that's all about, etc. So there's different methods of accounting that you might be using based on whoever has advised you or what your CPA is requiring for your taxes. So that's why I talk about just right up front in CHS, it's a good idea to have somebody involved with you that knows what your business is doing and to help you get your chart of accounts set up. Another thing is that when you start in on CHS, you're going to need, if you're continuing some books from another set of books, you'll be needing to put in things like balance forwards for all of these accounts. And you'll need to know what they are and have a pretty decent set of books coming forward, like your reconciled bank balance, how much is in your work in progress for each job, because you can break your balance forwards by that. But I have had people that the builder has assigned to handle this part of it to get their accounting books going, and I start talking about balances forward, and that person doesn't seem to know what balances forward means. And I like to equate that sometimes to a builder talking to a framer and telling them to, I think, what are the terms plumb and trim, etc. And the framer turning and saying, I'm not really a framer, I don't understand that. When I do try to help someone with the initial stuff, and I love to help just as much as I can and give as much advice, it becomes a little bit difficult not being able to understand the lingo with each other. So you can have your outside person help you a little bit get set up and then have your bookkeeper do this. It's not that hard, and there's full tutorials about doing that for you. Now what I'd like to talk about now is how, real quickly before we get over and see some of the various accounting features real quickly, is in CHS, in order to track job costs, we have one account. This builder is actually on percentage of completion. You do usually post your job costs to a work in progress account and then move them out each month in that case, or if you're on completed contracts, you might post them to work in progress and then move them out when the job closes. But I'd like to show you something about how the accounting database is structured so that you will be able to pull all of these various things that you ended up needing to go over to Excel to try to get from your accounting. So I want to drill down on the balance here so that we can just see these detailed records in a database, accounting database, to see what all the records are. First of all, I'd like you to notice that all these records are in this 1430 account, direct construction costs, if I hover over it. But the main thing I'd like you to notice is over here, there's a whole separate field going on for the job. So this accounting record got marked with the job, and a whole other field going on for cost codes, which are described more fully in the first video for the builder, which is like roofing, framing, plumbing, etc., that type of thing. Then there's another field that's called cost type, and actually when you're using a certain cost code and entering a bill to pay in accounting, based on the cost code used, the cost type that's associated will usually drop in, but it's in a separate field so that when you need to do that insurance audit report and see how much is for materials and how much is for labor or for turnkey for that general liability auditor, the report can be pulled in CHS and grouped and totaled by these cost types. There's a whole other field for department or division if you have remodeling, property management, specs, custom home departments. You can set those up so that you can pull little financials from your accounting records for just that department. And you'll see that there's other things like the accounts receivable invoice that might be attached to it. And if we saw a full database with all the fields, this is one for information pretty quickly. You'll see that there's also markup percents for cost plus markup jobs that get attached to the record based on your original budget, and so on. But one thing I'd like to point out mainly is that you don't need to set up a bunch of accounts on your chart of accounts for, say, your job costs or wherever you're posting them, like work in progress. You just need to set up one, and then CHS is going to be able to pull the information because of the job and cost codes being in separate fields So you don't have to set up a bunch of accounts, one for each job, and on your chart of accounts, or each cost code or something, which I used to have to do because I didn't have a job costing program. I'd set up all these accounts just on my accounting chart of accounts to handle that. So that's how that works. And what I'd like to point out is, as you set up these, here's ACES Builder Warranty as a vendor. If you hover over these things, you can see them. Is that you can have your accountant initially help you understand, like if I have a trade or supplier that's going to be doing job costing, what GL number should I post it to? And when you set up this vendor, you can put a default GL number so the bookkeeper entering bills doesn't really have to think about it, unless they get warned that the job has been closed already and that perhaps they want to put that to a GL account called cost of sales or something. But CHS will watch that. It will warn the bookkeeper about that. But initially, entering all the bills, you should set up the vendors so the GL number drops in, or if you're just entering a bill for some telephone bill that doesn't have to do with job costs, and you set up AT&T or something, you can have your accountant advise you, where would I always be posting the bills from AT&T or to my landlord or whoever, type thing, so that they just drop in when you select that vendor. The other thing that could drop in is a default cost code for that vendor. Like in this case, it's builder's warranty, so the cost code might be for warranty fees for job cost reports. And you can select a different one at the time you're entering the bill, but there's just some convenience things that can drop in to help out the bookkeeper. But that's where I like to see the upfront accountant sort of just help you get set up and sort of give you some advice. Another area they can give you some advice in is when you're posting deposits or monies received, there's something called a deposit categories setup, which means categories that will also group and give you good revenues reports grouped by these categories, like change order or interim draw when you're receiving money. But what you ought to do is set up these categories, and you can add new ones for your own lingo, and then ask your accountant, when I get a down payment, what account on my chart of accounts, let me put that into edit mode, would I like to post that to? And in this case, they are posting their monies received on jobs to things, various accounts under construction liability. So if you assign a GL number there to drop in when you post deposits and select down payments, then the bookkeeper doesn't have to think about it as much. The other thing, while I'm here, I'd like to point out is one of the complex areas actually in custom home building is you might get something like a lot draw that you don't actually get money for, but you need to recognize it as a construction loan payable, etc. There's full help docs and videos about how to handle that. There are also full help documents and videos about what to do when you get that big closing HUD paper and your last deposit, and how to get that posted into your accounting, which is another sort of complex area for people in the custom home building industry. When you get that and try to figure out how to post various job costs that actually got incurred, like closing costs or surveys or who knows what that happens on closing papers, and how to handle that when you're posting that check from the title company at the end, and then how to handle closing the job out accounting wise, so that you're moving all that stuff in progress over to your income statement. There's detailed stuff in this help document. I even give an example of a HUD statement and show examples of doing it. However, you still just should have somebody with some knowledge of what method of accounting you use, and you might switch between some methods almost for different jobs. CHS also knows and helps you figure out what is owed to you at closing, but it can do it based on the type of job, cost plus markup, cost plus builder fee, fixed contract, that kind of thing, that where it's pulling those numbers from accounting to help figure all of that out. So let's jump back over to accounting for a minute to show you that this is a full accounting program. I'll click financial statements, and you can see here that we have the full financial statements, balance sheets. You get a basic balance sheet. This is a demo company that I do a lot of demoing in, so pay no attention to the numbers. There's no telling what I've done, but You do control how your financials are printed if you want. When you load the NAHB, these little groupings will be loaded for you, but you can change them, various things that you like to have grouped and totaled on your balance sheet. So you can see how this is a basic balance sheet that you can get from accounting. You can also, I'm going to jump back to this window in a minute, but of course there's the income statements and profit and loss, and you might choose a period. I don't know how much data I actually really have in this demo one, so who knows what kind of income statement we're going to get from last year, but you can see that there is some, you're getting your sales, cost of sales, gross profit, adjusted gross profit, net income. In 2015, we didn't have hardly any general and admin expenses. We've actually been demoing in 2016 a lot. But notice here real quickly that you can get little income statements just for a selected job, that kind of thing, or a selected department, so on and so forth. But I'd like to jump back here to balance sheets, show you one powerful tool that there is just by the fact that this is accounting combined with job costing that's very useful to people dealing with custom home builders sets of books. What this is a trial balance of the accounts, and one of the most important ones when you're using something like this might be that account where you're posting all of your job costs. But what it'll do is show the balance in that account on your chart of accounts, and then break and sum and total those by jobs and how much job is in here. This is one thing that I tell people they should open at the end of each month and see if some job suddenly jumped into work in progress because somebody did post it to that GL account, but it's really been closed even though CHS warned them. And so that you need to do follow some of the tools for getting this moved over probably to, this was some check we voided in a demo, so that this old job is actually showing back up in work in progress when we voided it, the check and stuff. So we need to use the tools to close out that job again, move it to the income statement. But you can drill down on any of these numbers. You can also see what job costs for this job have been posted to other general ledger account numbers. You can see your monies coming in here for each job. So it's a very valuable tool. If you've been involved in custom home building at all, you will kind of recognize how valuable that is. CHS will track cash by job and give you cash flow reports, give you very valuable information. You'll see that some in the first video about how much cash has come in and been used by each job, and how much cash you're still going to need to have or to receive and to have, and how much cash is available by job. And it can do that because it's combined with the accounting, and it gives you those kinds of information. I don't want to get too lengthy on this. I'd like to just jump back over to, let me close this, jump back to our home menu. There, of course, there's totally a place for accounting to enter all the bills. There's very good help tutorials about all the things you can encounter when you're entering bills in a custom home builder office, like you might want to do a big upfront payment to the lumber company, and how do you handle that? Or you might want to back charge somebody, and how do you handle that? Or you might be trying to give a customer refund to somebody. Various types of things, or deduct general liability insurance. There's tools for all of that to make that easy for you, and full help documents about doing that. And yes, CHS does print checks, post your payables. You can either do checks on the fly real quickly for somebody, or post a manual check you already did, or post a bunch of them to pay in a big check run, select them to pay. And there's places that the project managers can get on, drill down to the unpaid payables that you've posted to look at over-unders and check mark them as approved to pay. I did some of that in the first video, and please watch all of our extensive videos about all of that. There is accounts receivable in here, and there is draw requests. If I go to that screen for draw requests and select our demo job we've been using, you could do cost plus markup, cost plus builder fee, and produce these really nice draw requests, which I think I showed a little bit in the first video. It's pulling all that accounting data, so you're not running out and doing Excel spreadsheets to come up with what your draw requests are. It's going to mark which costs you've drawn priorly, show those as prior drawn, and know which costs you've posted that haven't been drawn yet, that type of thing. And you can do great little reports. Like this would be more near closing than it would be right now, but a contract balance report that recognizes what contract this type is. This is a cost plus builder fee. Shows you what your current estimated costs are, and you can get that to equal your actual costs at the end of the job, plus the builder fee you originally came up with, plus some change order fees, current revised price based on all that, because it's a moving target when it's cost plus, less revenues received, and that's why we need our stuff marked in accounting to know which revenues are received for what job and how much money's we received and how much is still due to us on the job. So I'm hoping we do have, by the way, a place to post payroll, etc., and to post all the taxes, etc. CHS, we did decide not to stop trying to calculate payroll taxes and taking on the liability of keeping up with 50 states. So many of our builders use a payroll service anyway, but what we've done is create an awesome window for if you want to put in the hours worked by some superintendent out on the job and then bill that to the job at a higher rate and have that be combined with entering your payroll into your accounting books. And please watch that information. I can't make this video too long. And we do have bank recs where you do bank reconciliations and review all your cash management, void your checks, change check numbers if you put them in wrong, change the bank account you posted it to. We do lots of checking. If you go to edit, say a bill that you posted that's old, we'll check to see if your books have already been closed. We let you set up, we let the controller set up a current period and either allow entries outside of that period or not allow outside that period. So you can see how powerful CHS is accounting wise. It has everything in it. With me as many years background in accounting, with my degree in accounting, starting out with a big A, things that I wished I had, and then most especially I wished I had after I started working with custom home builders, so that I wasn't ending up creating just massive Excel spreadsheets all of the time. There's so many ways that the accountant and bookkeeper can become a hero to the builder with everybody involved in it, by watching the warnings that the accountant bookkeeper gets when they enter bills to pay about being over budget, being able to type a note there that the builder can see or the project managers can see about the overage, things to drill down on for the bookkeeper to see overages, or to give notice to the builder about various things that are occurring, so that it's not just a bookkeeping program. It's a program designed for everybody to get lots of information. And again, I want to reassure you, don't be too scared about it being all complex for accounting, just as by default, custom home building is a complex, will always be complex. But what I've done is put all the tools there you need to gather those numbers, make it less complex, give you as much help as I can. And my main goal was to save you lots and lots of time and to get valuable information that you will need to report to bankers, to report to your CPA, to report even to some litigator if somebody's trying to sue you for something, and to make your life so that you can just click buttons and get that information that's being requested by all of these various people in the world of custom home building. So I hope CHS helps you. I am here to help you. I like to help. I like to give as much advice as I can, although I cannot be your accountant for your company and make those decisions. That causes me a little, I'm not your accountant, and it causes a little liability. So you can see here all of the tools, and thank you for watching, and please call me with any questions that you have.